I mean, at some point it will start. So just at some point. So as long as you're ready, we'll start.
Yeah, I think we're good to go.
Yeah, we're good to go. Oh, all
right.
I guess it's good that we're already on air, right?
Yeah,
I would hope so.
What's going on, everybody? Go ahead. What?
I was going to say,
I'm antagonizing everybody here. Hell yeah. I've always do the nonchalant ones. It's always the nonchalant ones. When you're not expecting it, because I'm hoping to capture something that we can take you to court over.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. I will find a way. Fake news, everyone. Fake news.
Oh, God.
He's a bad person.
Bad hombres.
Very nasty. So what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Playback Gaming Podcast with your boy Dizzy81 coming back with you. And today we have our third compadre, Duke. Right? He's been the only one that's been missing in action, pretty much, right?
I have no idea who any of these people are. I swear to God, if you ever let me out of this basement, I will be talking to the police about this. Yeah,
it's not happening.
Again, anyone who's listening to this, I am not here of my free will. I've been locked in a basement.
He's been drinking too much. Just ignore him. Zero, how you been, man?
Okay. If you take it to the consideration that Dizzy literally kidnapped me and put me in a whole different country altogether.
So I'm the bad guy.
You're stuck in a basement, and I'm way away from home.
See, I think that's crap. He gets a free trip. I get dirty rags. I mean, I can't even sleep on this.
Hey, man, you got to take it.
I'm doing good, though, man. I'm doing good.
How you been? What you been up to? What have you been gaming on? Tell the world where you been. You know, what have you been doing? Tell us. Do you get a chance to smell the roses?
I've been in Tokyo, mostly doing work. But when I have some free time, I've been playing recently Destiny for the Solstice thing. I'm still debating in my head whether or not to get Forsaken or not. I don't know.
What made you change your mind on that? Actually, no. We'll come back to that. We'll park and lot that one. We'll come back to that one. How's Tokyo been, man?
You are so disorganized.
I am always disorganized. Nice.
Tokyo's good. Yeah, it's nice. It's a hustle bustle, but it's cool. It's a change of pace. I like it because usually where I came from, it's usually pretty chill and kind of boring. It's not boring down here. I like it.
A little bit more fast paced.
Yeah, other than Destiny. Yeah. But other than Destiny, I've been playing a lot of Injustice 2 just because I got this thing for the game where it makes it so you can do unlimited transmog of your armor and stuff, so you can just customize your characters to your heart content, which I love that. But other than that, I really haven't had much time to play much of anything lately, unfortunately. So just that.
Right on. So what about you, Duke? How you been? The life-consuming World of Warcraft recently released a new expansion, right? Is that where you've been plugging away at?
Actually, no. Because I had work, because I am a slave to creature comforts and must continue going to my job. But as soon as we're done with this, / what I'm doing right now, is playing WoW. Yes.
Nice. How are you liking the expansion? Let's go ahead and let's lead off on that. How are you liking the expansion? I know that we talked about it last week, how they have a new expansion coming out this week. If you didn't know, there's this little known game called World of Warcraft. That millions and millions of people like to play, or
what's that game?
You know, maybe live.
Never heard of it.
Well, it's a state religion in certain parts of the world. World of Warcraft is something that is less played and more just kind of consumed, like how you binge TV shows. It's less about playing the game and more of just like, I want to see all the new things. I need to see all the new things. Let's all go to the new things. The fact that I'm not playing it right now, I'm not addicted because I actually put it down for about a year after Legion came out, which was also a really good expansion. Is that it's really just kind of like going back home and going back to like your old stomping grounds as a kid, and you just feel familiarity, and you just kind of want to go around this new stuff, and then you find like something new, like a new restaurant where the old restaurant used to be that you used to go to all the time, and you find that the food's a little bit better. That's how I'm kind of seeing this expansion so far.
So pretty much they just changed something on the menu, and all of a sudden it's new again.
Well, I mean, the thing about WoW, the reason why WoW is able to still be a contender for like a video game time sink is that they never just kind of sit on their laurels. Like they'll have missteps and they'll take steps back sometimes, but they are always pushing forward. Like if you look at some of these cinematics or the scenarios or any of these other main MMO things, like they never just like, we're not playing the same WoW that you're playing 10 years ago because it is that old. It's not the same WoW that you're playing 5 years ago. Hell, it's not the same WoW that you're playing a year ago. Like it's consistently moving forward, like with world quests, with new items, transmogging. Like we tried the artifact thing, it worked out for a little bit, and then not so much. So we're moving on to a new thing. Like they changed how PvP combat works in there with the new war system. Like there's just a lot of stuff that they're continuously moving forward, which is, I mean, out of anything, that's what you'd want. It's why you still get people coming back to subscribe and whatnot.
I think that's one of the big things I always point whenever it comes to things like MMOs versus other games, and why sometimes when people make a statement where, you know, single player isn't where it's always at, you know, the retention. Just imagine the amount of revenue that World of Warcraft has been bringing in the, was it 15 years?
Came out in 2004, so yeah, about 14 years, yeah.
Okay, so around that time. So imagine the amount of revenue. Here's a bigger kicker. The one that I used to play, Ultima Online, is still, that released back in '96. That is still paid to play, and it's been going for over 20 years. It's going on 22 years.
But it looks
imagine
like
the amount of, yeah, it does look like ass. But I will say it, you know, it has its other perks. I'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing, like, that I think WoW kind of taps into, is that it's a lot of emergent gameplay. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm going to go do these quests and do these things. It's curtailing how you want your person to look with the transmog system, playing back through some of the old lore. Because, I mean, Warcraft, at its essence, it has some pretty interesting lore. Not necessarily good, not necessarily bad, but at least interesting. Like, there's characters that you think are going to be one way and they totally turn out another way. And then you have other characters that have always been dag nasty evil from the beginning. Sylvanas. Banshee Queen.
Right. I think that you were the one that kind of like set it straight last time, where you said, you know, the order isn't necessarily good and the horde isn't necessarily evil.
Yeah.
Whereas you would believe otherwise based on the character races that are in said orders and hordes.
You know, humans start a concentration camp program. Orcs kind of don't like that. That's reasonable why they would fight that. Orcs then blow up a bunch of cities. That's kind of a dick move. There's more ambiguity.
I mean, it definitely makes sense. But I mean, again, that goes back to the whole MMO aspect. If you know how to do these sort of updates and keep people entertained, or find a way to get people to come back, you know, I mean, you're always going to find the Golden Gateway. I know that we kind of dabbled on this. You said that it's rumored that it might be the last extension. Is that correct?
So they've done some talks with the creative teams and the writing teams, and just, you know, the pre-hype before a big event like an expansion release, and they're just kind of talking about how they feel like with this one, they're going to be tying up a lot of loose ends. Like if you followed WoW lore at all, like a lot of the big names are in terms of villains are gone now. Like, you know, we've gotten rid of Arthas, we've gotten rid of Illidan, we've gotten rid of Sargeras, Archimonde. There's a lot of the bad guys from a lot of the storylines are gone now. So it's like we're kind of wrapping down. There's not so much, like, literally last expansion, the incarnation that you would think of like the devil literally punched a sword into the planet and then died in a raid. Like, I don't really know where you go after that, because you're also like killing like Cthulhu-esque old gods at the same time every other expansion or so. So it's like, I mean, well, there's a finite point.
That same thing on what's that show? Supernatural. I mean, they killed Satan
twice.
Yeah,
he became Satan once. That was like a weird episode. Met God.
How many times are you going to kill this man? And we still have story to go over.
That's why I stopped at season 6, the Kripke ending of the show.
Right, but I mean, again,
that's as soon as Castiel called Satan assbutt. As soon as he said, "Hey, assbutt," that was the last episode I watched. It was never going to,
because that goes too far. That goes too far.
Not on my Christian television network.
Exactly. You don't be dropping that sort of foul language around here. We don't fucking do that. First of all.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, I think that's always been the beauty about MMOs. Like, I mean, if you know how to, you know, keep your community engaged, you're going to have, a recipe for success. That's really honestly why Fortnite is really kicking people into the ground, is because, I mean, how often they're updating things, changing things on there, and giving you things. That I think that's fucking brilliant. That we're able to take that from one end to another, from one genre to another. I think I proposed earlier. Do you think that if that's the last expansion, do you think that might be why they're working on 2 different Diablo games or multiple Diablo games?
I mean, I'm always down for more Diablo. I just enjoy it. Just point and click and loot and treasure and whatnot. I mean, like I said, they've done so much with it. Like at this point, I'd almost seem like they need to make another Warcraft so we can get a whole new set of story stuff, and then make a World of Warcraft 2 or Warcraft Too Fast, Too Furious, and just like with a new engine, because this engine's old. Like you can tell, like they're really pushing what they can with what it is, and at this point, like we need a big old reset, like how Final Fantasy 11 turned into 14.
I mean, Call of Duty has been running the same engine for how many years too?
Oh, they fixed that though. I think like after one of the blops, it changed. Like wall riding was never from the original engines.
That's fair. I guess that's a fair assessment. Unless they found a way to make that actually happen. Who knows? What about you, Dale? Do you have anything with Warcraft? What is your highest level character on Warcraft right now? Tell us right now, Zero.
I've never played it.
That's not an excuse. It's free to play for up to like level 20. At some point in your life, you had to have played Warcraft.
Actually, I think you could play past 29. I think you could play up to like 100.
Up to 100?
Yeah, like now, like you don't even buy like the old versions. If you try to play it, you just play up to the last expansion, and then you got to pay money if you want to play the current expansion.
That's kind of interesting. I mean, I guess that's a good thing. I mean, what is it? Warframe kind of does something very similar. I mean, you don't end up having to pay for anything if you don't want to, but the free expansions, that definitely helps. You know all about that one, don't you? Yeah. Don't you, Zero?
Oh yeah, I love me some Warframe, man. I played the hell out of Warframe.
Space
I'm all
Ninjas.
about that. I'm all about the Space Ninja.
Absolutely. So what would you give it a rating so far from what you've played, or have you played enough to give a good assessment?
For WoW?
Yeah.
For the new expansion, I would definitely want to refrain from giving any sort of rating until I've played both sides, Horde and Alliance, and with at least 2 classes of each. Right. So, but probably by next time I'll be able to do so.
Sounds good. So there was a trailer that had released not too long ago. Actually, there's a couple of trailers. We're going to talk about both of these. The first one we're going to be bringing up is the behemoth of gaming right now, Rockstar, released the first gameplay trailer to Red Dead Redemption 2. I still can't get over the fact that they're calling it Redemption 2 rather than going with another R word and just dropping the 2. I don't know why that bothers me so much.
Okay, so if you had to name it, what would you have called it? Red Dead what?
Well, I guess at this point it would be Red Dead Rising, because this would be like, what, a prequel?
I would call it Red Dead Revengeance.
See, I would have thought revenge if you would have had Marston's son out, seeking revenge on all these marshals and everything.
Or maybe Perfect. Red Dead Remembers?
Red Dead Remembers when? Do you?
I remember when games had original titles.
Red Dead
Redemption. Namco presents baseball.
They're tooting this as the largest map to date, which, I mean, is definitely believable, especially out of Rockstar. I don't know how it is, but they make some of the most fantastic maps to go play on.
Yeah, the only thing I really want from the new Red Dead is I want that same type of moment from Red Dead Redemption when you first get into Mexico, and that music that plays when you cross that bridge and have that sunlight hit you. It's just like, that was a pretty magical moment. I kind of want something similar to that, and it seems like since the camps will be moving consistently, maybe that's something that may occur as it does the major changes. I do kind of wonder what the multiplayer stuff's going to be, so I'm going to be looking forward to some of those updates in the future.
Yeah, I mean I think that's going to be pretty interesting to see how they handled that. I've heard a lot of back and forth. From my understanding, it looks like that they will have a very GTA 5 online-esque multiplayer for online, but I've been hearing other people say that no, it's not going to be as intricate as what Grand Theft Auto Online. It wouldn't make sense, which I don't see why not. I mean, if it worked for one, it'll work for the other. I just want to know when we're going to get something for content with that will be as epic as what was it, Undead Nightmares?
Oh yeah, Undead Nightmares is pretty solid. Yeah. So what are they going to call their new shark cards? Like Bronco Bucks?
Bronco Bucks. Perfect.
Bronco Bucks.
Copyright that right now before they take it.
I'm pretty sure they already got it. Bronco Bucks for like Rattler dollars or
Rattler
bills. Oh shit.
No, we'll be original with it. We'll call it simoleons. You can't call it that.
Snake simoleons.
Have y'all had a chance to be able to check it out?
I did watch the trailer, yes.
What do you think of it?
Zero, did you see it? I don't want to spoil it because it is pretty magical.
Oh yeah, I saw it. I saw it. Yeah.
How about all those animals? So many different animals.
The exciting thing I saw was when he was shooting guys with a shotgun or with the pistol, holstered it, pulled a shotgun from a carry stance, and lit off two, and then like the whole he's only going to carry like 2 long gun, 2 short gun. That's solid. Like that's cowboy shit right there. No longer like Walking Death Terminator style arsenals on your back. I'm kind of excited about that. That and the hunting.
You're gonna have a lot of No Man's Land-esque moments there.
I just remember throwing knives at people in Grand Theft Auto or axes. That was fun.
Yeah, I think right now with Grand Theft Auto 5, if you're playing the online, they got some sort of mission where you can actually earn the axe. That you'll actually get it in Grand Theft Auto 5, but you'll also take that with you over to Red Dead Redemption 2. They also had something else earlier in the year. I think it was either this year or late last year with the Golden Gun. But I think that was limited to just Grand Theft Auto 5. I don't think that transferred over. So it's nice to see that you can actually earn some stuff for something that you'll be able to play later on.
I know EA likes to do that with like their Battlefield series. Like if you play some of the Battlefield 1 stuff now, they'll transfer to Battlefield 5 stuff, even though there's no games in between those, Battlefield 1 to Battlefield 5.
Nobody wants to play the Depression, all right? Yeah. The worldwide Depression is just...
I still say that they should make like the real army recruitment thing where it's like you run around in a training camp for 8 weeks, and then as soon as you get deployed, you get like shot in the fucking boat on D-Day.
Imagine how awful that would be. If you purchase this game at $60 and for 8 weeks, you can't play the war part because you have to go through an 8-week boot camp.
Climb that rope, jump out that plane, peel them potatoes off that floor.
I don't know how many training missions I got to do of jumping out of the airplane, but I'm ready for this 8 weeks to be up. I could see it already. Absolutely. So I think that the trailer, I thought it looked pretty sharp. We didn't see a lot of the PvP. There was a couple of things. Of course, you got the Deadeye shot. They had something that looked kind of like the Deadeye shot, where it just looked like they maybe slowed down time. I do like the aspect of where if you can go hunting, you actually bring your loot back with you rather than it just like appears in your inventory, and then you could sell it. And it apparently, depending on where you shoot it at, will change the value of whatever you're turning in. So unless you're getting a lot of headshots, like, I mean, if you're shooting up the body, then you go to sell that, you're probably not going to get a lot of haul back with it because they're going to see all those bullet holes in the side of it and like, we can't do anything with this.
Yeah.
What about you, Zero? Did you have any takeaways with the trailer?
I mean, me personally, I've just never really been a big Rockstar guy. The trailer looked good, and the game looks really good for people who are into it. I haven't really been big into Rockstar ever. I've dabbled into GTA Online for a little bit, but that's about it. Plus, the whole Western cowboy thing, I don't really like that whole aesthetic anyway. I'm not about it.
I don't know how I feel about you right now. Like, part of me still wants to be your friend and console you, but the other part of me kind of like wants to hit you.
Space ninjas, Diz. Space ninjas. I prefer space ninjas.
Well, there was another trailer. Of course, they're not space ninjas, but it's very similar in a way. The new trailer to what is the name of the city for that that secondary world that they that Bungie tooted as being the largest in-game content ever created? Is it like DreamWorks? City? The Dreaming City. I keep trying to call it the DreamWorks City. I know that's not right. It's not DreamWorks.
Why do you keep saying DreamWorks?
I'm
kind of lost right now. Yeah,
I'm aware. I'm just as lost because I don't remember what the name of the city is. But I keep trying to call it DreamWorks. I know it's not, but I still keep calling it that. We're gonna say that it's called the Dreaming City. It may be called something else. I know Dreams in there somewhere and City is in there somewhere. But anyways, this is it's supposed to be a very important part of the Awoken culture. Maybe like their Mecca or Medina. It was abandoned, and this is going to be a full-on patrol area that also leads into the raid. So I guess kind of like the Warmind, or not Warmind. What is the one? The last expansion to the first Destiny.
Rise of Iron.
With Siva. Rise of Iron. So like that whole area that's back there, do you kind of like run up into the raid? Apparently it's supposed to be like that. Any thoughts so far on that?
I mean, I'm interested in it, especially since I'm believing, and I want to really, really believe that the story is going to lean towards leading up to Savathun, which is a really big, prominent Hive Lord in the lore and everything, and I'm hoping they stick her in there somehow. I'm really hoping they pull through with the story on this expansion. I'm not really so worried about them adding in a whole bunch of extra things to do, because the thing with Destiny is there's a lot to do. The problem is they just don't really give you most of those things, and they're fixing that, which is good. That's why my interest is coming back. They just need to succeed on the story right now. That's where it's hurt.
Do you think that after bringing all those YouTubers in, do you think that that's going to help out dramatically? Because I think it will.
It'll help. And I think the feedback coming through from that already. That's why that's why we're seeing so many changes right now. And like I said, I'm really hoping that helps pull through for the story, because the story, it's always hurt for Destiny, and they need to get that fixed. They need to work on that. They need to work on telling it better and making it more impactful. And then I think if they figure that out.
Right on. What about you, Duke? Have you been playing Destiny at all anytime recently?
I have not. I believe I have shelved that game personally. Nothing against it. It did not capture my attention or interest for a long-term play. I enjoy the combat and the control of it. It didn't have anything that I really kind of wanted end game wise.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's a.
And you will rue this day. I swear
it. I don't know. I think that it may be something that is going to be on the up and up, I think, for the game. I think that whenever you bring in your community and you ask the community the community is such a group of passionate gamers that are behind it. Of course, there's always going to be haters like myself who make a video 30 days after you launch your first game and tell you how trash it is. So, of course, there's going to be people like me out there. But for the community that's very passionate about it, I think that it's pretty neat that they did bring everybody in, ask what is it that we can do to make it better? Because I think that, it's absolutely right. Like as Zero was saying, with the whole potentially it being Savathun coming in and, that being the baddie versus anything, I think will definitely put the game on the up and up. Of course, so we have the Forsaken stuff, but then we also have the Dream City stuff, which kind of looks like that there's a little bit I don't know if they intertwine in any area or anything. I don't know if we have two different patrol areas, two new ones. We may just have the one, and you just go there to handle everything, which that'd be kind of boring. I'd hate to have to go there and see that the Fallen are everywhere. But I mean, I believe that we're also getting the Prison of Elders, or in some form of a manner having the Prison of Elders, something like that. And then there's also supposed to be like another Orcs Court type deal that's supposed to be within the city itself, which definitely adds more to the end game. I like what they did with the Warmind expansion, where they have the EPs, where people could just like casually come up onto it. Now, getting a group that knows what to do and how to be set to handle an EP is a totally different story. But I mean, I think adding a lot of that definitely works to their advantage. And right now, I think that the big thing that everybody's, going, crazy over is the mission for, was it the Whisper of the Worm? So everybody wants that gun. You can only get it on the weekends. There's a whole different setup that you have to do with that. But I think that they're moving a lot of the parts in the right direction. I think that my only gripe right now that I really have, that I think that hurts the game, is Xur. I still am not a big Xur person. I don't like that these guns that you have to go earn or have RNGesus in your back pocket. I don't like that on the weekends if he's just going to sell it to you. I think that, to me, that's still... Go ahead.
I don't mind Xur, but I would be more on your fence if Bungie put a way to earn said weapons in the game, like quest lines. If you had quest lines to get all the exotics and Xur on top of that, then yes, Xur would be stupid to me.
Yeah.
I think that's something they should think about doing.
Now, my question, I don't know if it works this way, but do the quest, I don't know if you might be able to answer this, do the quest line exotics, with those exotics, can they ever end up in Xur's pockets? Can he ever sell any of those? Like, can you buy the sleeper stimulant at some point?
As far as I know, you can't. I could be wrong, though. But I can't ever recall seeing, Sturm or Drang, whichever one's exotic, in his inventory. I can't recall seeing Acrius or Simulant. I mean, I don't recall none of that in there. Or Rat King.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I never look at Xur, because again, I like the whole Diablo 2-esque, where you have a gambling system. Now, I know that right now with microtransactions and loot boxes and yada, 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 but I really like the whole concept behind it. Of course, it was a mature game for this, and that's how they were able to get away with it, calling it gambling. But, I mean, loot boxes is essentially the same thing, and you're going to put a T on there for whatever reason. But I like the aspect that you could go up to the bazaar, to the gambler, and you could try to get... I know that everybody was over there betting all of their money trying to get the ring, seeing if they can get an SOJ. I think that would be a much better fit. I would be more in favor of, okay, give us the coins back. We go earn the coins. You go to Xur. You gamble it on there. Let's say an exotic has a 15% chance to roll out of that. I think that'd be perfect.
Right.
Now, if they do anything like that, probably not. They don't want to chase away their casual audience, and I think that Xur's really there to fit for the casual audience. Whereas the hardcore audience, your missions, like I just got done doing the sleeper stimulant. Oh my gosh, that was such a time sink. But I got it done. I've been so happy since I've got it done. Now my eyes are set on the Worm of Whispers, or Whisper Worm, whatever it's called. So I think that this weekend we might try to knock that out. Probably going to fail because you can only get it on the weekends.
Fair enough.
We'll see. Absolutely. Any last thoughts on the expansion?
Well, yeah. And when I was on ILP, or Ironlords podcast, everybody knew I was the main one who held Bungie's feet to the fire, and I'm going to do it here again. They're moving. They're doing a lot of things right now. But this DLC, there's a lot riding on it. And I think this time, for lack of a better term, if they fuck it up, it's going to be the last straw to break the camel's back, and it's just going to be downhill.
You think?
So, oh yeah. Oh, I know.
Here's my proposed
There's a lot
question.
riding on this.
Because I agree to you to a point. I think for Destiny 2, I don't think that it's going to completely break Destiny 2. But do you think that whenever Destiny 3 releases, because we know there's going to be a third one, and it still is mind-blowing that there's so many people that they're like, there's going to be a third one? Like, yes, they said this before they even released the games, that there's going to be 3 in the trilogy, and they had plans of expansions between each of the trilogy. So my question is, when Destiny 3 releases, can they afford another vanilla Destiny 1 and vanilla Destiny 2? Can they afford a year of that again?
Absolutely not. No,
yeah,
because
I don't think that they can either.
What hurt Destiny 2 so bad at launch was they went through years Destiny and making Destiny into a really good game. And then when Destiny 2 came out, it had maybe like 10% of that. And it made no sense. They were missing core things that you grew accustomed to in Destiny, and they got rid of them in 2 when it launched. And it made no sense because the game downgraded itself instead of being the same or better. And that was the problem. Now, if they spend these like this time that they've been doing making Destiny 2 better, and 3 comes out, and it's worse than 2. I mean, the shit's going to hit the fan way worse than it did this time, and this time was bad.
I feel like that when they release Destiny, they have to hit it out of the ballpark. I think that the difference between Destiny 1 and Destiny 2 is whenever it released, for Destiny 1, it didn't have the story content. It didn't have the content to begin with, but the content that it did have, I mean, it was not casualized, to say the least. Whereas you look at Destiny 2, I felt like that they wanted to make sure that they can capitalize on the casuals, and they over-casualized it. And so everything became too easy, so everybody got to the end, by taking one step, which definitely did not help that game one bit.
Absolutely.
Right on, Duke. You have any last words of the game that you're not interested in?
I'm sorry, am I still here? I didn't know that.
Sometimes.
I was sniffing these ether rags that you used to keep me down in this basement, and I kind of took a nap.
Sometimes you just got to sneak up on them and like, what does this smell like to you? So here's another thing that I have to eat my foot about is I was very convinced that Dark Phoenix was going to be shut down. And apparently that's not the case. Apparently they're sending them out back to, I believe it's Quebec or Montreal, somewhere out there, somewhere in Canada, for another 2.5 weeks of shooting to change a lot of things. And then the big overall scheme of it is that there was something that has occurred that has opened up that they have to make this sort of change for. Any thoughts by anybody? I know.
Is that the acquisition by Disney?
I would love to say yes. I would really like to say yes. Here's my theory about this. I thought that they were surely going to can it because I'm pretty certain that Feige and Kinberg have had a couple of conversations. From what we know, they have said that they're not going to be touching the Deadpool franchise and all of its assets. They're going to let that ride out exactly how
put it on your touchstone and just let them make you money.
Which means that there's a good chance we may never see Deadpool. I'll say that may be like that's a 50-50 with Deadpool on an Avengers film. Of course, has Deadpool ever been an Avenger? From my knowledge, he hasn't. Does anybody know? From my knowledge, he hasn't.
I say he was.
X-Men is one thing. I've seen him with the Avengers, but I don't think that he's ever been an Avenger. I digress.
Deadpool?
Deadpool.
Deadpool is an Avenger. Yeah. West Coast Avengers, and he did his stuff back in the 90s as well.
See, that's why I hate these fucking rotating casts.
Yeah.
The X-Men that you have now is not the same X-Men that you had, back when we were kids or anything like that. Whenever you think of Avengers, the ones right now I know that aren't the same ones that we're seeing in the films currently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, the
It's a
Avengers
completely
change
new
out
cast.
consistently.
Yeah. But I guess you got to keep it fresh somehow. But I digress. So I have I have a big theory that Dark Phoenix, I was certain that it was going to be canceled, and I think that that would have been a very good decision because from what I was reading, now of course all of this is rumor. I can't confirm any of this, and so that's the only reason why I'll speak a little bit about it. From my understanding, the film was very much Dark Phoenix Rises meets was it The Secret Invasion. You can do it with just the X-Men if you wanted to, if you were going to run that Secret Invasion storyline.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it wouldn't make sense if you don't have any of the Fantastic Four characters or any of them involved, if that's in your assets. So the way that it sounded, they were really screwing up the way that the Secret Invasion part was actually playing forward. And if I was Disney and I knew that I'm pulling this in, or I guess in this aspect, if I'm Feige and I know that I'm pulling this in, if you don't want to spend a lot of money with the whole recasting and rebooting and trying to use the assets that are already there and ingrained, because I mean, if you look at the Spider-Man films, everybody's going to tell you that they enjoy a different part of the Spider-Man films that have been released over the last 20 years. I know some people that they still prefer the original trilogy. There's some people that do like Garfield more than they like, what is his name, Tom Holland?
Yes.
So some people like Holland more. So I think that they have to kind of look at that, and they also have to see the Fantastic Four, which has been rebooted once, and that failed miserably. I don't know if I would do a third reboot to the X-Men. I think that that's the big thing. Like, they're going to have a hard enough time trying to fill Hugh Jackman's shoes as Wolverine. Granted, Hugh Jackman is 6 foot, and Wolverine is 5 foot, 5'4" or 5'2", something like that.
Yeah, he's short.
He's short. So not only do they have to fill those shoes, I don't know if I would want to, one, recast, or two, you're getting Sophia Turner and you're getting Maisie Williams. Now, Maisie Williams, if you didn't know, is going to be in the New Mutants, which that's also another film that they said, we're going to let that one roll. They want to see what happens with New Mutants. And I think that that's a brilliant thing, because essentially the New Mutants are what Marvel tried to do to replace the X-Men, to try to breathe a little bit of life back into that franchise. They ended up killing it off because it wasn't as popular, but it had some really good story arcs in there. I digress, but I don't know if I'd want to let go of both of those contracts right after they're coming out of Game of Thrones. Because you could easily take those contracts, you roll them into one of your other franchises, or you make one of them a Disney princess. I mean, that's money into the bank right there for Disney. So I don't know if they would really want to get rid of those kind of contracts. They also have Charlie from Stranger Things. I can't remember his character's name. He's the older brother. He's also going to be in New Mutants. But my theory was that they were kind of meeting up, and how can we change a little bit of what you already have so that they can find a way to segue that into the MCU. And I think that that's probably the smartest thing that they could do, and I think that's a little bit of why they're doing the reshoots right now. But that's just me on my tinfoil hat. I'm not trying to get striked from every social media like Alex Jones with that, so I'm going to kind of kindly take it off and put it over to the side. And yeah. Any other thoughts on?
Well, I know that, like, when because Fox owned the word mutants, and everyone was associated that with for the licensing issue before the merger or the purchase, and that's why, like, in MCU or like television for Marvel, like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, they were always fighting with Inhumans because that was the closest they can get to mutants without being mutants. But then with that merger coming back, they kind of just dropped the Inhuman arcs. I mean, in terms of recasting X-Men, there's two major things. One, there's always just different versions of people and everything. Two, like for Wolverine, we could definitely go down the X-23 route which is his
And
clone
I
daughter.
think that would be the
or
better thing, especially with Logan. And Logan did well. And you have that little girl, and you have somebody that you can grow into the role. Because
or you can get Draken's son. Like there's always viable alternatives for every major mutant because it's the nature of the beast. In that, this character is really popular. We should make someone relatively close to him because we can put him in more books. Or you get the Deadpool effect where you just cross it over anyways. I would be okay with Deadpool popping over into regular MCU movies, but never as a main character, not even as a side character.
Yeah.
Quite literally in the background. Like a cafe's blowing up and Deadpool was
he's like an Easter egg kind of deal where he pops up for a small scene and then just appears.
Yeah, and I mean that's basically what he was for the cover variant. So that would literally be paying homage to why he got as popular as he did, in the sense that like, oh yeah, hey, Deadpool's here. Where? Well, I mean he's not here. He was in this general area, but he's gone now. But it was cool, right? Yeah, totally.
I mean that's pretty much how they're gonna end up killing Thanos off. Is they're just gonna have Deadpool show up and slice his head off, right?
Maybe. I don't know. The future.
Who knows?
How funny would it be to have Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds Deadpool, and Iron Man and Doctor Strange all in a movie scene together? Because they're such smartasses.
Well, I think that the one thing that they have to find out how they're going to be able to pull it off, you have to, especially if you're able to bring in Deadpool, you have to have one scene with just Spider-Man and Deadpool. You have to. But I think that the only thing that I'm a little bit reserved about this, I don't think that the way that they've been portraying this Spider-Man, I don't think that he has enough quips with him. And I think that that's one thing that Garfield might have had a little bit on top of this one. There's not enough quips. He's not, being a smart aleck like he normally is whenever he's fighting crime. Because if you've never read the comics, for those who haven't, bless your soul. But anyways, while Spider-Man's fighting, he's always making these comics just like how Deadpool does. Deadpool's fighting and he's always talking and this and that. But what we've seen in the movies is this is a Spider-Man that he's like saying things to the bad guy to get under, like not to get under their skin in a funny way, but just to get under their skin, like because we're fighting. I think that the closest we got to that with this one has been in Civil War when Spider-Man shows up and he takes the shield from Captain America and he kind of apologizes about it at the same time. Or whenever he meets Doctor Strange for the first time. He goes, "Oh, we're using our real names, or we're using our stage names,
our made-up names."
Yeah. So
have you seen that old movie Alien,
or this old movie Star Wars? Like he does the quipping, but yeah, it's definitely more of a comment thing. Like when he talks to Bucky about his arm during Civil War, it's like, "Oh, cool, man, you got a metal arm. That's awesome." Like it's less because I do feel like I actually kind of like the Garfield version of Peter Parker. I really think Tom Holland's kind of the best of the both. Like, I think Tobey Maguire was a better Spider-Man, but Andrew Garfield was a better Peter Parker. Or maybe I don't know. That's its own thing. But like Tom Holland,
this is why this topic's so weird. Sorry, not to cut you off, but I think that Garfield was a much better Spider-Man, and I think Tobey Maguire was a good Peter Parker, but a shit Spider-Man.
I mean, really, if you go back and watch the Raimi Spider-Man, I appreciate what they did for the genre. But if you really go back and look at it without nostalgia, but with a critical eye, they are not great. They're good, but they're not great.
No, I'd have to agree. But I think that this whole conversation right here actually speaks volumes on why you wouldn't want to reboot the X-Men a third time, because this is exactly what everybody's going to be doing, is looking at, oh well, this character was better done under so and so.
You don't have to reboot them. You could literally continue the storyline. Okay, Xavier's gone. We could do the Utopia line when Scott Summers ran the X-Men and run that way, or you could go the other way where like just keep going, because that mansion's blown up like 45 times now. Like they've lost everybody multiple times.
I'm pretty sure that they have destroyed that thing in at least 3 films now. And there's been 5, 6 X-Men films so far.
Thereabouts,
and somehow it's still standing. I don't know. But
see, my question is,
I think
if they did go the route of doing X-23 let's say instead of Wolverine, who are they going to get to play her? That's going to draw in people like Hugh Jackman.
You have to. I still.
I'd bring back the actress from Logan. Yeah.
Exactly. I'd bring her back too. You have a girl that can grow into that role, and that's the beautiful thing about the X-Men that we have right now.
But is she gonna, as a star though, is she gonna have that same draw?
She wouldn't be in a solo movie. She'd definitely be as a side character at best.
Yeah, I wouldn't. At this point, I wouldn't make X-23 as a standalone or anything like that. The only thing that I could see aside from that is if you do want to stick with the whole Wolverine thing, I think that you pray that you might be able to convince Hugh Jackman to come back and do kind of like what Robert Downey Jr. is he's sticking around as Iron Man and he's doing like these little cameos here and there, but not necessarily doing a standalone Iron Man movie. Maybe you can roll with an Old Man Logan version of Wolverine with the Avengers. I'd be down for that. I think that I could see that. I think that what a lot of people also forget is, like, oh, well, you have to reboot it because 2 different timelines. That's going to get very confusing. You really don't. And I think that we've talked about this multiple times on the podcast is the timeline that you're working with the X-Men happens all before everything that is currently going on with the MCU. The only parts that are right now that are overlapping is essentially the first Captain America, and now with having Captain Marvel being set in the 80s, that would be the only other overlapping. Oh, but how can they explain all the stuff that's happening in the X-Men's universe and everything? I mean, if you're hiding Captain Marvel, if they've done a good job with this, then of course. But I also think that if you're able to do that, that also sets up a perfect segue into doing something like the Secret Wars or doing something like the Secret Invasion, if not both. You could lead up with the Secret Invasion into the Secret Wars, which falls perfectly to what they're doing. I know right now they're doing the whole what is the space version, the cosmic universe, and with everything that's been going on, I don't know if that's really a route that they should be taking. I personally was never big on a lot of the cosmic stuff. I felt like a lot of the other big events were more intriguing, and I think that might be a route that I would take it. But I digress. I don't get paid to do it. They do. So
I think a Marvel cosmic event like Annihilation War, because I want a freaking Nova movie, man. That would be amazing, especially with the Guardians of the Galaxy already out there. Because again, Marvel cosmic was kind of weak. Annihilation War definitely cleaned up a lot of that. With Quasar, Annihilus, the Kree, the Shi'ar, the Skrulls, cleaning up the Novas, cleaning up everybody, Starjammers, everyone from everything, and just reduce that number down to like maybe 10 to 15 characters to follow now. And it made it a lot more coherent, and it set it up for like the other larger events as well. I think with the gun incident and the Guardians of the Galaxy and the real world type of issues, I think that definitely sidelined where they were kind of wanting to go with that. Because I mean, space does allow for a lot more, viability. Because it's not like, why is every hero in New York City in the Marvel universe? Like, everyone's from New York. No one's ever from the West Coast because of the pride.
That's a very big thing. Yeah, I mean, that's what the Defenders are all. They're all in New York. How is that much crime going on in New York?
I mean, seriously,
like
how
that
are you
much
a street
big
criminal
time
in the world of, Captain America or Spider-Man or any of that? Like it's literally just cost, risk, benefit. Just it's bad. It's just bad all around. It is
because all the heroes are at shawarma. They're at shawarma eating in between movies. We all know this.
See, Peter's more of a hot dog guy. He'll just be like,
maybe
swinging
at
around
the
eating
shawarma restaurant they have hot dogs.
I don't think hot dogs are halal.
Well, knowing if they did the whole was it the was it called Genova? I can't think of the name of the island that the mutants went to.
Genova.
Genova. Okay,
Genosha. There we go.
Genosha. Yes. I don't know why. Like, I was saying Final Fantasy VII. I was like, it doesn't sound right in my head. Why am I saying this?
That's what I was confused
they probably put that. They probably put that right on the outside of New York, even though it's over off the West Coast.
Yeah, it was like near San Francisco, I think.
Yeah, right out of it's pretty much they moved Alcatraz little bit further off. But yes, they'd probably throw that off of the side of New York. But they're also causing mayhem everywhere. Damn these superheroes. Absolutely. So, but I guess an update for the whole gun situation, they may be bringing him back on. Do you think that he takes it? Does he come back? Would you?
If I was James Gunn, would I come back?
Yeah.
Probably, because I would want to finish the story that I wrote for these, even if like it. Because again, the one thing I think that was different about him versus a lot of other celebrities who get added for saying really terrible shit is that he's owned his mistake. He's never backed away. He's like, hey, it's wrong to characters. Like he's always stood up and is like, yeah, no, I said real fucked up shit. I've grown as a person from that. Everyone says terrible shit to get a reaction, especially in the early aughts. Because I mean, let's be real here. If everyone had a device that kept track of all the dumb bullshit that they say to get out of people that they think they know or that are friends or whatnot, pretty sure no one would be cool with throwing that up on the internet. Why is that like the biggest fear for most people? Is like, if I die unexpectedly, go to my house and delete everything on my computer.
Right.
Like, that's real.
That's actually a good point that you're bringing up, because who else said some really terrible things recently?
You're gonna have to. There's a lot of people, so yeah. I guess this is less rhetorical and more.
That streamer Ninja, can you believe that this sexist gets on stream and says, "I don't want to stream with you because you're a female"? That's actually not what he really said. Absolutely is not.
Yeah, I believe you just. I think you just did libel? Slander. Yeah, slander.
I'm going for slander. And if y'all didn't know, we are the Deadpool of the. I like to call it the TixCU of all these podcasts. We're the ruthless ones. We say the things that they're afraid to say. And of course, anything. If you haven't seen my tweets, anything that is bad, we're going to kick it all back to Cal. So make sure that you blow Cal up and ask him, why would you let them say these things? Why would you let them say this about Ninja?
If you see me tweet, you're a liar, because I don't do that.
I'll get that. I'll get that later. Like, why would you say this? But like, I don't know, man. You let us do it. I didn't let you do it. Yeah, you did. Anyways, Zero, would you care to fill us in? Because I know that the other night you were kind of amped up about this, and I didn't want to poke and prod because I was like, this would be perfect for him to speak about. And then last night somebody wanted to blow the load early. So care to let everybody know what was said?
I'm not amped up by it because let me just. I don't watch Ninja. I've never watched his streams. I don't even really know what he does. I know he streams Fortnite. That's all I know. The reason that this really annoys me is because it's so goddamn stupid. It's a non-controversy, really. So what happened is Ninja did an interview with somebody. I can't remember who it is at the moment. I want to say TMZ or Polygon, somebody. I don't know. Anyway, they asked him something about streaming, and I think something about his personal life or whatever. And he said that he's not going to stream. He doesn't like to stream with female gamers to avoid internet rumors that might be spun up because he gets watched by thousands, if not millions of people that might end up over time like grinding down on his wife, or making her have concerns that she shouldn't need to have. Basically, what he said he does is he puts his marriage, his wife, and his personal life before streaming and people on the internet. And that is common sense to me. But people want to take it and say that he's being sexist and that he's saying if you're a female gamer, you are not good enough for me to stream with, which is not the message he's sending out. And it's just, it pisses me off because I just hate it when shit just gets spun like that. It makes me so mad.
Well, I mean, you were right. I mean, this was by Polygon. It's classic Polygon. Let's be honest. We're going to call a spade a spade. They are one of those few that they will make those driven narrative articles because they want you to know their views and their points, and they don't want you to say otherwise, even though that they're kind of telling you, hey, go ahead and tell us your point, while also holding a knife or a gun to your head.
Right.
And they kind of spun it, and he's absolutely right. We see exactly what he said is exactly what ended up happening about what he said. He says something little, it gets blown out of proportion, and it is put a certain way so that you have to believe that this is the narrative. It looks like
And you know what
I don't
I've
know.
seen? You know what I've seen mentioned on Twitter? Which I find just crazy, is I have seen people message him about those tweets and say, "Well, why won't you? Or this damages the chance for a female to stream with you, so that they can help launch their career on Twitch." First of all, it is not his goddamn job to help somebody else launch their career. He worked for what he's got, and he has every right to do what he wants to do with his content. He has no obligation to work with anybody.
Do you think for the average female gamer versus the average male gamer, I know that this may have a little bit of controversy behind it, but do you think that the females have a harder time getting people to actually tune in than males, or do you think that males have an easier time than the females?
No. They have it way easier, and it's not a generalization thing. It's just fact. If you look it up, if you look up the actual facts on this kind of thing, because I do look this stuff up. I work in advertisement, and like this kind of stuff interests me, right? If you look, it is way easier for female streamers to get views and repeat viewers than a male streamer. And I mean, that's, like I said, that's not being biased or anything. That's just fact. It's factual.
Yeah. Now I think I agree with you about this. Now the reason for them tuning in, yes, I might generalize why that guy is actually tuning in, versus whenever somebody tunes into a dude. Personally, and this is just my take. I think that people will tune into a female first for personality, whereas people will tune into a dude to see the game just in general. Not too often do you tune in to see the dude that has a personality, but of course, whenever they have both, it's a winning combo for that individual. And I think that if you go and you look at a lot of these streams, I believe that there are more female streamers than there are male streamers. I mean, I could be incorrect. I don't have the data in front of me to prove my statement, but from what I've seen, I know that whenever I skim through Mixer, the higher ones tend to be some of these females. Now, I'm not saying that every female is going to hit it off, and they're going to hit that grand slam and they're going to be able to retain everybody, because I think that streaming still is a skill that you have to pick up. You have to be able to be personal, as well as engaging and likable. And I have a child over here coughing, but you have to have all of those in order for that to actually work.
You have to have a child coughing to have that work?
It's a good possibility. It's a good possibility. While you're on the mic, he's over here asking, Dada, pay attention to me. What do you think about this, dude?
Okay, so I'm not really one for following streamers or anything like that. The only one I've ever really kind of watched more than a few episodes, I think, was Robaz. I think it was like a Swedish one, and then Soviet Womble, which is an English guy. And that's more because of the way that they edit or they portray their stuff. Like, I understand, like, for Twitch, yeah. Twitch had basically the I would say the reputation of, like, when they started putting, like, cam streamers, just basically became My Free Cams, but with video games.
Right.
Now, My Free Cams is a adult-oriented webcam site for those of you who do not know what that is. All, like, 5 of you that watch this show. Yeah, so I think I don't really have a dog in this race. I definitely could see the argument of, like, it's not the responsibility of anybody else to help boost anybody else's career. So yeah, I guess I really don't feel strongly anyway about it. Ninja, I think you said his name was, for Fortnite. Does this guy
Ninja.
owe anybody anything for doing anything? Not really. But at the same point, if you ever make a controversial statement, you're going to suffer repercussions of that, because that's how our mob mentality works.
Right.
That is absolutely true. So, well, to get off all of that sour stuff, so there was a convention this week, QuakeCon. I actually got to attend. It was the first QuakeCon since I've been living in Dallas Fort Worth for roughly 10 years. And this is the first QuakeCon that I've actually really attended. And actually gone inside and actually spoke with individuals inside. I've gone to QuakeCon stuff back when they had it at the old place, because they would actually hold things outside of the event in other locations. And I go do some of that stuff because the Hilton that's over there in Dallas is just kind of They moved it to a really nice location. It's in a really nice part of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And it was pretty interesting, pretty fun. It was a little bit more difficult because going to something like this as a father and lugging a child around who wants to touch everything and anything that's flashing, sometimes it's a little bit more difficult to do everything that you want to, but we were able to go in, play with a few things, a few games and everything, see the setup that they had going on. It was a pretty fun time. Definitely can't wait to go to the next one. I think the next one maybe go childless, but while I was here, I was actually able to speak with some of the developers, so it wasn't all lost. I got to speak with some of them, talk about a couple of things. A lot of the stuff is just things that everybody already knows. I think that if anything, I'm going to kind of pump my chest because there were some missing features and blades that I suggested, and if we get those in the games, you are welcome. I'm not going to mention what they are, but once the game releases, maybe I'll say exactly what it is.
Well, that was cryptic.
Very. I try to be. Because I don't want to step on toes. I don't want to say this and then all of a sudden Bethesda's upset with me because I said something that I feel is minor, but they may see otherwise. Like, why would you tell them that there was no volume option? Like, I don't know. Why didn't you have a volume option? There was a volume option. I'm just saying.
You don't want to say anything, but Bethesda might threaten to sue you or slyly say they're not going to put their game on your console.
They're just going to send the Dark Brotherhood after you. They know.
Pretty much. I'm going to wake up and there's going to be a hand of ink sitting on my wall. I'll know exactly what's about to happen. Absolutely. No, so it definitely was a fun time. I definitely can't wait to go. I don't believe I'll be there next year because I will be actually at a wedding across country. They did have a panel, which I missed. Let me tell you this. This is actually what upset me about that day was we had planned to go to QuakeCon, and we knew that things were going to be going on, but they didn't really have the listing of itinerary of exactly what's going on, or at least I could not find this for the life of me. I searched for about an hour and a half, couldn't find anything. And we wake up in the morning. We look to go see if there's an itinerary. Sure enough, there's one up there in half an hour to an hour from the time that we woke up is when they were doing the Fallout 76 panel. So unfortunately, we didn't get to go attend that, how much I really wanted to. So Duke, did you check that video, or I'm sorry, did you check the stream out for it?
Again, you've had me locked in a basement for 2 weeks.
Look, you have full-fledged internet down there now. I'm not saying it's the best.
I have to yell into a phone ones and zeros just to be here.
That's true. That's true, but that's besides the point.
He has to use Morse code to say he's hungry.
I don't feed him.
Yeah, it's mostly rats down here. Delicious rats.
So what do we feel about 76?
Again, I don't think it's the end of the world, as a lot of people in like the Fallout Reddit subreddit seem to make it out to be. Again, you gotta keep moving forward with a lot of your game design. I like how they kind of talked a little bit more about nukes, and it was kind of the concept that I kind of picked up from the E3 conference, which was like, it's not just, oh yeah, you're gonna get nuked all the time by random griefers. It's like, if you're getting nuked all the time, you have a very dedicated amount of people who definitely hate you, because it's not just like, oh, here's a nuke, I'm gonna throw it at somebody. It's like you gotta hunt down 6 bosses who have like, or especially primed to this one area, go into the little dungeon area, input the code, then drop the nuke, and they're gonna drop it on you versus like going to loot it themselves, because it creates a bunch of special timed effects, and it just, I'm willing to let the game come out, play it, watch people play it, and if it's good, I'll play it myself. So I'm looking forward to it.
What about you, Zero? I know that you cannot wait for this one to release.
You're talking about Fallout 4 Online? Can't wait. I'm not playing it.
You're not
I'm
playing
not
it?
impressed. I don't care for it.
Any reason why? I know that you don't like the. I know you don't like the universe. Is that pretty much it?
It's not Fallout. I mean, Fallout 4 wasn't really Fallout at its heart. It just wasn't. I mean, I get what Duke's saying, where you got to go forward, you got to try new things and whatnot. But I mean, like, I mean, like, I don't
Zero,
like the idea of it.
If you don't mind me asking, I'm going to go ahead and adjust my glasses for a second. What was the first Fallout you played?
The very first one.
Okay, so you started with the isometric versions.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, and when Fallout 3 came, you know, there's a lot of that concern of like, oh, this isn't the real Fallout. Fallout's not a first-person action-oriented game. It's you know, how are we going to get, you know, VATs to work or any of this type of nonsense? I feel like you got to try something. Right. That, and with the fact that it's not a mainline game, it's a side project game while they're working on their mainline game. Like, I don't know. I feel like it could be worth something, or at least, you know, if it falls flat on their face, they realize not to fuck with the formula.
Well, because the thing is, Fallout 3 was a good game, regardless, and New Vegas was.
It was solid. It was solid.
I thought it was great. I thought it was good. A lot of people like New Vegas. New Vegas, people say is the best Fallout ever. I don't know if I agree with that, but a lot of people like it. The problem, where I'm coming from, is I got Fallout 4, and I was really hyped for the game, because I love Fallout. And I liked the game when I first played it. I put way more time into it than I really should have when it first came out, because I had other responsibilities, but I didn't care because I was hyped. And then sitting back on it later, it just wasn't... To me, it was just a good game. It wasn't great. It wasn't like a good Bethesda game. It was just a
with
good
Fallout
game.
4, would your opinion of it be different if it wasn't a Fallout game?
Yes, because I feel like having the name Fallout on it, like, there's a certain expectation people are going to come into with it. And that's the thing, because there was a lot of a big problem that I had with Fallout 4 is it felt like they took out a lot of the RPG elements of it, and I didn't like that. And with Fallout 76, right. And with Fallout 76, I don't like the idea of no NPCs or any of that stuff. That doesn't say Fallout to me. To me, that says.
Now, is there going to be completely no NPCs? I thought that I heard that there will be NPCs, but not to the extent that we've seen. Not like the ones you can run up and murder.
It's supposed to be zero population. The only people who are supposed to be around are literally going to be other players, because it's supposed to be other people from the vaults.
Which I think that it works, because the whole premise is this is the first shelter that pretty much opens its doors to go out in the world and try to repopulate and build, you know, from something. As we see with the Fallout universe, if that's the case, that we fail miserably. I don't know. I guess I kind of see what Bethesda's doing. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that works, like, lore-wise, if that's the story they're trying to tell. But how? I don't have confidence in that translating well into the actual game and the gameplay itself.
I don't know. I mean, I see it the same way that I am seeing things like Ark. We don't have NPCs in Ark. It's pretty much a world that you're going to go in and you're going to do your stuff. I see what, and this is what my big takeaway with 76 was. I see what Bethesda's doing, and they're lining up a lot of their franchises to these ways that they can have a way to monetize and have a residual build on these franchises without having to rely on big heavy budgets to fund for the next project. As we've seen with Elder Scrolls, they turned that into an MMO. First came out, it was very skeptical for a lot of people. It's like, why would you do this? Why would you do it to our beloved Elder Scrolls? When it first came out, everybody will tell you it was trash, but I think that they've done very well of turning that around and turning it into one of the staple MMOs that are currently on the market. They pretty much are doing that with a lot of their franchises. They also did it now we got the card game, which we'll talk about that here in a second. So they have Legends? So they got Legends, or they're moving into that market because that's a market that people are interested in. You look at what they're doing with Quake. Quake, people don't forget, Quake had a story. Quake was very Doom-esque. There was a lot of grungy stuff. The Quake that I played the first time around, Quake 1 and Quake 2, are not the Quakes that you're playing right now. So Quake Champions, they're definitely trying to bite back into that. I would say the Unreal Tournament meets one of the new tournaments that they're trying to compete with like the Overwatch or Siege. Now, it's a little bit different because your characters aren't as important as choosing your characters in Overwatch or Siege, but they're trying to bite back into there with that. They got another mobile game with Blades, which we briefly mentioned earlier. So I can see them taking Fallout, which it fits perfectly for that style of game. Now, is it going to translate well? We'll see, because even though the universe may fit well for a survival game, because let's be honest, that's the whole premise of Fallout is survive and live and move on. And for these individuals that you play as, some shit happens, like, oh my god, you stole my baby and shot my wife, now I gotta go find Sean. So I think that they're doing a lot of good things with the franchise. I think that a lot of it will have to depend on, are they prepared to actually handle all the extra stuff that goes into keeping these style of games up?
I don't know, man.
That whiskey silence, that pour one out for Bethesda. But speaking of which,
go ahead. I really have very little confidence in it personally. I don't know.
You don't think that they could pull it off? Because literally right now, I think that the only juggernaut that's in there, which if you want to call them a juggernaut, because population-wise it is still falling off, is Ark. You don't think that Bethesda can knock them from the pedestal?
What's that pedestal?
I'm not saying they.
If we look at I would say that if we're looking at the multiplayer survival franchises that are out right now, I'd probably say that your best argument would be Ark and Rust are the two that are running it right now.
Of like the survival game mechanic?
Correct.
Yeah, that'd be fair.
I would say that those are probably your two kingpins. And we've seen a new one come every month, and they're trying to take it, but they just can't seem to knock those two from where they're at. We've seen it with Conan, The Forest. It's just not grabbing people the way that it should be. Being able to take advantage with whenever you look at both of those, both those franchises, they're both. I know that me and Zero have had Ark, back and forth about it, but Ark is dying, and it's just simply because the content isn't there. Like when they were in preview and they were putting out the new content every month, you always had something new to play with and everything, and so it kept people entertained. But now that it's released and they're working on the DLC parts, you're only getting your content every so often, and then they're not running enough events to keep people entertained enough, on top of all the other issues that Ark has. The same thing with Rust. So Zero, you'd say that they can't. You don't think Bethesda can take it with 76?
It's not that they can't do it. I'm not saying that. But my thing is that there's just going to be a lot of people like myself who are just not going to bother, because that's not what you play Fallout for. That's not what you've been playing Fallout for. And the thing is, you bring up the whole Ark thing dying, and yes, Ark is dying, but I would also argue that's not just because of them and their lack of doing things. I just think the survival genre is a good idea at the wrong time, because most people nowadays live a pretty hectic life. And as me and you both know, especially you, because you're on PvP servers for Ark, a survival game is time consuming. Like, it consumes your life.
It does. They are time sinks, and I don't think a lot of people think about that.
Right.
So, I mean, it goes back to the point is, can Bethesda find a way to find the good median between hardcore and casual? And for online games, that's always going to be the key. If you can find that line, then I think that you're going to have success. I think that that's going to be really the make or break, because if you go in there and it's going to be a sink that you have to spend so much time, I don't think that they're going to have the same population that you would have had playing like Fallout 4, Fallout 3, New Vegas, or any of those upon its release. However, I think that they'll find enough people to play that depending on which way they go. If it's too casualized, then, I mean, people are just going to run through it, and then you're just not, 3-4 months after its release, you're just not going to have people playing it.
But I also worry about with Fallout 76. I also worry about how is it going to run? Because one of the things that's just been a factor of like Fallout and Bethesda games generally is that they're just buggy. They're buggy as hell.
See, that's
to the point where it's a meme.
Yeah, I mean that would be the thing that I would be worried about, truthfully, out of everything. Is just Bethesda's engines not work good is a developer note. Like, it's not a bug, it's a feature. It was totally made to catapult you in the sky when the giants stomped on you in Skyrim. Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah, but that stuff's not going to fly in a survival game with PvP in it.
Oh, absolutely, I agree, because people will find out. And you're 100% right. What that is, whenever it comes to where people start to become competitive, unfortunately, people are going to find a way to exploit it. And the second that they find a way to exploit it, either you're going to have to start laying down that hammer, as Blizzard has had to do with like something like Overwatch, or you have to find a way to be able to patch that pretty quickly. Because if you let it run rampant, you will have the same kind of issues that you had, that Wildcard had, with Ark, going into its release. I think that's one of those. I'm on the fence. Whenever I first saw it, I was like, yeah, I'll definitely get this, because I like the survival genre. But as time has gone on, I don't know how interested I truly am, because, again, it is a time sink, and I'm looking at all the releases that are around that time frame. I'll already be probably knee-deep into Forsaken. I'll probably be shoe-deep into Red Dead Redemption 2, by the time it releases. But, I mean, also right around that corner, I've been looking at other things. Like, I know not a lot of other individuals are into it, but I've been looking at the Pokemon Go as well as Smash, because I have a Switch, and so I may be spending a little bit of extra time over in one of those games. I just don't know how much time I'm going to have with Fallout 76 if I do end up grabbing that. And I think that's probably my concern is, again, because of
when is that releasing?
That's in November. Which date, I'm not exactly 100%, but I know it's releasing in November.
Right.
Which I think, again, I think that the doom of that game is not so much of what it has going on as much as the shadow that is going to be cast onto it. There's a handful of franchises. I've said this, and I've been very vocal about this. I think there's only a handful of franchises that can go in the cast of a shadow of something like these Rockstar games that would be able to survive. I said I thought Pokemon would be one of those. Smash Brothers would be one of them. And the thing that they have to their advantage, they are on an exclusive system, so they don't have to worry about the whole totality of it.
Right.
But yeah, so any last words from anybody before we get up out of here?
No, I think we've touched on a lot of things. Please, someone call the police.
Yeah. Call the police. I mean, if we're going to take it this far, we might as well talk about what Zero wanted to talk about with Teen Titans.
No.
Fuck that, man.
Oh, please.
What exactly is wrong?
There.
Everything is wrong with
what
it.
Is it wrong?
No, I agree with you. No, we're definitely.
Have y'all seen the?
Go ahead.
Well, I mean, we could talk about it real quick. Have y'all seen the trailer for it?
Yes.
The one where he says "fuck Batman." Are we talking about that one?
The Comic-Con trailer.
Yeah. Yeah. Is this supposed to be a movie or is this supposed to be a show? I couldn't really tell. It's a show.
Yep.
It's a streaming. It's a streaming.
It's for the
DC show on DC's new.
I was about to say, where exactly are they using this language? Because I know that that isn't flying on the CW.
No, it's supposed to be for their stream. Although they're going to be Teen Titans Go. I think that'll still be Cartoon Network, but they'll probably pick it up for the DC stream. Teen Titans, which is the dark gritty one, and then apparently, if you saw the Teen Titans Go movie, they had an exhibit at the end of it, which showed the original Teen Titans, like from the 2000 era. They may be coming back. So you're gonna have 3 Titan shows.
That depends. See, but that the old one coming back, the 2003 cartoon coming back, depends on how this new darker series does.
Well, that's just dumb.
And that's the concern, right? Because this,
I guess I'm just gonna watch like shit. Justice, then.
Very much. But not only that, not only is it on that streaming, that new DC streaming service, that Titan show is their premiere and their flagship show for that streaming service. That is their draw. That is their main thing. That is what they're going to advertise for the service.
Well, I mean,
horrible.
As soon as he said "fuck Batman," I turned my TV off. Again, in this kind of household, we don't use that sort of language, and I don't care who you are, Mr.
I think it would make sense if it wasn't that Robin, because it's supposed to be the Dick Grayson Robin, and it's like that doesn't make sense. That's not a Dick Grayson thing.
It's not even the Dick Grayson Robin.
No, it is Dick Grayson. That's the problem.
It is Dick Grayson.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay,
or maybe even the Damian Robin, because I could see Damian being a little shit. But yeah, not Dick.
Which is the one that gets his teeth bashed in.
Yeah, Jason Todd's the one who got ironed by the Joker.
Okay.
Yeah. See the Robin in this series is Dick Grayson when he's it looks like at the beginning of the series is when he's doing his own thing from Batman is Detective Grayson, and he's a little bit edgier then. But he's not going around saying "fuck Batman" and shooting people with other people's guns. He's never been that kind of guy. He's always been a lighthearted.
Yeah, and see that's the thing. Like, again, Jason Todd, Red Hood, shoots bad guys. Like the whole, if you kill a bad guy, the same amount of bad guys are there. Jason Todd's response: "What if you kill like 100 guys? That's like a net loss, right? So I just got to kill lots of bad people." That's his workaround. Right. That makes sense in that universe, but I don't know. They're just dumb. They're just
the thing that gets me with this show is they have this Dick Grayson portrayed in such a dark way, but they've already confirmed Jason Todd as being part of the series, so they're already going to have that kind of character in it already.
Maybe it's an alternate universe, and maybe Jason Todd will be the nice guy.
God, I hope not.
I'd actually be down with that.
That'd be so bad.
Like, we could make this like a Mr. Mxyzptlk version, and just like so then you can never figure out what the hell is going on. Like Poison Ivy totally hates plants. Joker actually
her power is actually a Roundup.
She's Monsanto.
Oh god.
Yeah, Joker is actually a really nice dude. He works kids' birthday parties.
He's that sort of clown now, huh?
Yeah.
I guess
does Batman live out of a box on the corner of a street?
No, he still has the power of money.
Asking for change. But the thing is, even if they find a way to work around this whole Robin thing or whatever, Starfire's not orange, Beast Boy's not green. Raven
has emotional problems, which is like the very antithesis of her character. Yeah.
She looked
like
creepy.
The most generic dark character.
Yeah.
Was she supposed to look that way?
Well, remember, like her power, like her and Starfire are both. They even had a really great Teen Titans episode about this. They're both emotionally driven people in the sense that Starfire gets her power from more pleasant emotions. Raven, if she allows her emotions to get the better of her, it unleashes her powers. So she's the most control freak version of herself, because if she ever like has a breakdown or has anxiety or any of these problems, people will die because of demons. So she should be like the most monotone, controlled person. She should talk like Ben Stein a little bit, where everything's just controlled, and then she uses her powers, and then you get a little emotion because she needs it. But yeah, she shouldn't be like losing her shit consistently, and if she is losing her shit, people should be like head exploding like in Tenacious D around her.
Yeah. Not only that, but like seeing how bad the special effects look for that darker side of Raven, I cannot imagine. I cannot imagine what Beast Boy is going to look like when it turns into animals.
Why are you only turning into dogs or elephants or other animals that would be on Universal set? No reason.
We don't need a rat right now, baby.
Oh yeah, okay. How about a donkey? Yeah, that'd be great.
We always knew you were a jackass.
Yeah, there we go. See, you could be a writer. Do the second season. Fuck. All right.
We already got that in. So any last words from anybody before we wrap everything up?
No, I think I'm good. I think the rat shish kebab that I was making earlier is calling me.
Sounds about right. What about you, Zero? Anything last?
No, talking about that show gave me cancer. I'm sad.
Well, make sure you go get that checked out. You definitely don't want that to come back to bite you. Absolutely. So before we get out of here, I want to make sure that we throw a quick shout out. I would like to say call paying bills, but we don't even get free healthcare over here at the Tick Games Network. But what you can get is if you're looking for the greatest in gaming news and entertainment, be sure to check out. I can't even speak right.
That's
part of my problem. Tech out. Kind of like Tech in, but we're just going to tech out. No. Fuck Batman.
Is it spoiling you? Giving you a bunch of gadgets?
So be sure to check out tickgamesnetwork.com where you can find new news articles. That's kind of like a double whammy right there. New news articles. I need to find a better way to say that. And opinion pieces on games, movies, music, comics, and shows that you enjoy. Be sure to follow them on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. And of course, I do appreciate everyone for tuning into this podcast, downloading it from our. I think that we're going to be up on Podbean. We are going to be over at iTunes as well as the SoundCloud. SoundCloud is pretty much where we're going to be sharing this out of. But we would also like to invite you to follow us on Twitter at PBG_podcast for the latest updates. You can also follow me at iDizzy81 and Duke at Deception Duke on Twitter because we know that he doesn't ever tweet. So make sure that we get a lot of followers over there.
If you see a tweet,
anything at all,
run. It's not me.
Of course,
are coming from inside the house.
And Zero, if you wouldn't mind throwing down your handle, where do the fine people find you at?
On Twitter, just Lord Zero. Simple enough.
Lord Zero. ILP at the end of that. So also you can follow us on the YouTube channel where you'll see our side projects that we have going on. I do have one that I'm working on currently where I will be actually speaking to individuals of gaming groups. And by groups, I mean, I guess you would see like these clans or the people that go to do these tournaments or stuff like that. People who've been gaming together for a while, they go by a pseudonym, they have their own team set up and everything. Just kind of like talking and bringing a little bit of light of people who like to actually game, because we know that in the social space, people don't actually like to game. They just like to get mad and yell at each other and find the next thing to be upset about, is Duke likes to say, the mob mentality. So be sure to stay tuned for that.
That is judgmental of you. How dare you?
How dare
on the internet in 2018?
Look, man. Look, I learned it all from TMZ. All right. But on that note, we are out of here. Thank you for tuning in. Peace.